Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to go my review of AEW's Dynamite. Starting off the night, we have Kenny Omega taking on Blake Christian. I thought it was a good match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between Omega and Christian, with Omega keeping the pace of the match. Omega then attacks Lee Johnson ringside. Omega then hits a Snapdragon on Blake Christian in the middle of the ring, followed by a V-trigger. And then Omega hits his signature one-winged angel on Christian in the middle of the ring, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match is Kenny Omega. After the match, Omega grabs a microphone, talks about Dynasty. After that, he's interrupted by Mike Bailey. Mike Bailey comes out of the ring, grabs a microphone. Bailey says that he has a lot of respect for Omega. Bailey says that he will take the international title, though, at Dynasty. After that, Ricochet was shown on the Titantron, saying that he was away celebrating or getting ready to get married to Samantha Irvin. Ricochet then also mocks Omega and Bailey, and Ricochet says that he will be walking out at Dynasty as international champion. Some interesting stuff there between Omega, Bailey, and Ricochet. Speaking of interesting, man, we have MJF. MJF comes out to the ring. MJF is supposed to give an answer to MVP as far as whether he is going to join the Hurt Syndicate or not. MJF says that he has been thinking a lot for the past couple weeks about MVP's offer. After that, MVP then calls out, MJF calls out MVP. MJF says that MVP is a legend. MJF says that he wants to be in the business of hurting people. After that, Lashley and Shelton Benjamin come out to the ring. Lashley then gets face-to-face with MJF. Lashley asks MJF for the business card. MJF then hands over the business card to Lashley, but Lashley rips the card up in MJF's face. After that, they're interrupted by Brian Keith and Big Bill. MVP then mocks Brian Keith. Bill says that he wants to tag team. He sees no tag team challengers for the tag team titles. MVP says no, he doesn't either. Big Bill then mocks MVP, and then the tag team division, to me, looks like it's dead in AEW, which we will talk about towards the end of the podcast and what I thought about this segment here between MVP and the Learning Tree. Moving on from that, we have Kyle Fletcher taking on Brody King. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Fletcher and King, with King keeping the pace of the match. Fletcher then hits an elbow drop off the top rope on King for a near fall, followed by King hitting a Death Valley driver on Fletcher off the apron. Fletcher then somehow gets up, hits a tombstone pile driver on King for a near fall. Mark Davis is here. Fletcher then hits a turnbuckle brainbuster on King, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Kyle Fletcher. Hats off to Kyle Fletcher for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's Mark Davis taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. I thought it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Davis and Hobbs, with Hobbs keeping the pace of the match. Hobbs ends up hitting a devastating power slam in the middle of the ring. Davis then follows that by an enziguri, but Hobbs ends up hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Powerhouse Hobbs. Hats off to Powerhouse Hobbs for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a rated FTR sit-down with Tony Schiavone. Wheeler says that he wants the trios titles. Cope says that sounds like a good idea. Says that at Dynasty, it should be rated FTR versus the Death Riders for the trios titles. Moving on from that, we have a Swerve Strickland segment, probably the best part of Dynamite last night. Swerve comes out to the ring with Prince Nana. He calls out Jon Moxley. Moxley comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Swerve asks Moxley, what happened to him? Swerve says that Moxley is not championship material. Swerve then says that Moxley is looking in the mirror. Claudio Castagnoli is here. He is standing right behind Prince Nana. Nana looks worried. Moxley says that he had high hopes for Swerve. Moxley says that Swerve hasn't suffered enough. Moxley then asks Swerve how far is he willing to go to win the AEW title. After that, Marina Shafir comes out to the ring. Willow then stops Marina. Swerve says that he is the definition of violence. Swerve says that Mox bled pints while Swerve has bled buckets in AEW. Swerve says that he will lead the Dynasty era after Dynasty. And then he also says while he wins the belt at Dynasty and leads the Dynasty era, Jon will play Jon Moxley on AEW television, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. After that, Marina then attacks Willow after the segment between Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland. Moving on from that, we have a tag team title matchup. It's Top Flight taking on a bunch of jobbers. Thought it was an okay match, back and forth matchup between Top Flight and the Jobbers, with Top Flight keeping the pace of the match. Top Flight quickly hit the finish, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Top Flight. Hats off to Top Flight for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have Takeshita taking on Mark Briscoe. I thought it was a good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Takeshita and Briscoe, with Takeshita keeping the pace of the match. Briscoe hits a senton off the apron, taking out Takeshita on the outside, but Takeshita gets up, hits his signature Raging Fire on Mark Briscoe, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Takeshita. Hats off to Takeshita for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our main event of AEW Dynamite. It's a tag team matchup. It is Penelope Ford, once again teaming up with Megan Bayne, taking on Thunder Rosa and the AEW Women's Champion Toni Storm. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Rosa and Toni Storm keeping the pace of the match. But Megan Bayne ends up hitting an F5 on Toni Storm. Pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. Hats off to Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, man, honestly, for what it's worth, I'm not going to sit here, and a lot of people have been saying this, and a lot of other people that I know of that are in the community have been saying the same thing. A lot of people are getting frustrated and are starting to get pissed off with how the AEW shows are booked. And I'm not going to keep sitting here week in and week out every single week and complain about what the hell is going on with AEW. We all know what is going on with AEW right now. Before the show even took place last night, I happened to be on Twitter, and I happened to look, and there was a tweet that was out saying that Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't really look into the hate that AEW is getting online. I don't understand how you're not taking this into play or into factor, considering the fact that your ticket sales are down, your attendance sales are down, and your attendance sales are down even with you guys going to smaller venues compared to what you guys were doing last year. You guys were doing big arenas, and now you guys are going to basically theaters at this point, or pavilions, and you're hardly even selling out that. And you have NXT, which is technically a developmental program for WWE, that is beating you guys in the ratings and in ticket sales consistently week in and week out. And for some reason, Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't really give a rat's ass about that. I think that's a problem. I think that's a huge problem for AEW and Tony Khan. Because I told you guys this probably about a month or two ago, and I'm going to reiterate this one more time. It's going to get to a point where people are going to stop buying tickets to this shit. And there's going to be people that, that are high up in AEW as far as talent are concerned, that once they're gone from AEW, man, I don't know if AEW is going to be able to recover from certain names leaving the company. The main one for me would be MJF. I think MJF, once his contract's up, he's gone. He's WWE bound. And I know for a fact WWE and Triple H cut their eyes set on MJF once he's a free agent, and he's gone. I don't see a reason for MJF to stick around AEW any more than he has to once his contract's up. It's the same thing I'll talk about here soon with Penta and Phoenix and why they left, especially with how bad the tag team division is in AEW, which I will talk about here soon. But, that's one of the things that stuck out with me before the show even took place last night was that, Warner Brothers Discovery made this comment stating that, they don't really care about the internet fans or seemingly the fans in general that have shown their displeasures with the AEW product as of late, because for the past couple years now, it's been the drizzling shits as far as professional wrestling is concerned. My thing is, and I'm not sitting here comparing AEW to WWE. I have no tribalism at all. I want both companies to succeed, and I made that abundantly clear since for the past 5 years, AEW's been in existence. I want this company to succeed. I want them to prosper. I want the idea of having two major professional wrestling companies in the States and not just mainly WWE. And, when this company came into fruition, man, I was excited. You had guys like Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Adam Page creating this company that we, at one time all fell in love with AEW. It was the alternative. It was something different. It was something new. It was, it was kind of like, punk rock. If you honestly, had to ask me, what does it symbolize the most? I would say that. It came in strong. A lot of people, obviously the Young Bucks and the Elite have a big following leading into what they have with AEW just from their times on the indies and the times working over in Japan and the Bullet Club and everything else like that. It's a big time stable in all professional wrestling. And for the first few years, AEW was great, man. I still, till this day, I think what Tony Khan did for Sting in his retirement tour was absolutely great, and I don't think you're going to get a better retirement tour than Sting, to be honest with you. I think they did a fantastic job. I remember the last match they had for Sting was a tag team matchup where he was teaming up with Darby Allin, taking on the Young Bucks for the AEW tag team titles, and they did a hell of a job with the build-up for Sting on the road to his retirement tour. And they did a fantastic job, and you also had MJF and the Adam Cole situation, which was great as well. But since then, there hasn't really been a lot of storyline going on within AEW that you really sink their teeth into, probably besides Paige and Swerve. And that's been about it. And I don't know who's running creative over in AEW, if it's solely for Tony Khan. But this shit is bad, man. There's loopholes out the wazoo with this goddamn show. There really is. And I'll give you guys prime example. Example 1, main event last night. We had Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford teaming up once again to take on Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. My question is why in the hell are we having Penelope Ford teaming up with Megan Bayne? What is the reason behind these women teaming up? We have no idea why they teamed up. And for what it's worth, they've been teaming up now for the past couple weeks. I don't know if it's something where maybe Penelope Ford went up to Tony Khan and said, hey, I want more TV time. And I don't know. Megan Bayne, for what it's worth, I think Megan Bayne's great. I think, she's going to be an indestructible force in AEW. I know she has a high-profile matchup at Dynasty against Toni Storm for the AEW Women's title. And there's matches to make for Megan Bayne. You got Mercedes Moné, you got Jamie Hayter, Sheeta, whenever Sheeta returns, Rio, Jamie Hayter, which I also found out from last night that Jamie Hayter looks like she finally got her visa issues fixed. And she will have a matchup, I believe, against Queen Aminata at this weekend's Collision on Saturday, where Jamie Hayter finally returns to AEW, which is a big, big deal. But, man, it's one of those things where, again, why do we have this team up here between Ford and Bayne? There's been no rebuttal. There's been no discussions on, how both these women came together and became a tag team. That's loophole number 1. The other loophole I would have to say, to be honest with you, is, Christ, man, I don't even know where to begin after the Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford situation, but there's a lot of loopholes, man. For example, look at the tag team division. That's the other loophole. We just had the Hurt Syndicate defend these AEW tag team titles in the last pay-per-view at Revolution against the Outrunners, which it should have been, in my honest opinion, it should have been Brian Cage and Lance Archer, which that was not the case, and we got the Outrunners versus a Hurt Syndicate. And the Hurt Syndicate were successful in that matchup and retained the AEW tag team titles. And then we had a segment last night with Chris Jericho. It looked like he was seemingly frustrated with Big Bill and Brian Keith, and that they're not, doing their job, if you will, in the learning tree. And then you have MVP out there with MJF as well as Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, and then these two clowns walk out. And I'm telling you, man, MVP dog-walked their ass during that promo in that segment. When, Big Bill asked, well, I see the tag team titles but no contenders. And MVP says, yeah, I can say the same thing. He makes a solid fucking point. The tag team division in AEW is so fucking bad right now, I don't even know where to begin. And to be honest with you, I know some people are like, oh, well, we don't want to see the Young Bucks. Why the hell not? Because at this point, you got nobody else, bro. You got nobody else that you're literally investing in or building up in this tag team division. What, you got Top Flight, who had a match last night? How long has it been since we've seen Top Flight? And then you got Action Andretti and Leo Rush sitting ringside during that match. You got that. There's no Alex Reynolds or John Silver from the Dark Order. We haven't got that. Where are the grizzled young veterans? We haven't seen them. I don't even know if they're even still signed with AEW or even signed with the company at this point. They're nowhere to be found. They're not building tag teams for this goddamn division. The tag team division in AEW is, I'm telling you, bro, it's so fucking bad. And then the icing on the cake was what MVP says last night. Big Bill, oh, I used to be former tag team champion. Bro, what, last year? You know what I mean? What, with Ricky Starks? And where did that go? Nowhere. Tony Khan benched Ricky Starks' ass, and they didn't even want to have him on TV and do nothing. To a point where Ricky Starks finally said, to hell with this shit, I'm out. Penta and Phoenix, which I mentioned earlier. People are like, oh, it's bullshit that Phoenix and Penta left. Why? Why? Because the tag team division's fucking awful. You look at what Penta's doing. Yeah, he's had some matches on Raw, and they've been consistent matches with whether it's Braun Breaker or Ludwig Kaiser, but he's severely over in WWE. His merchandise is selling left and right. And then you look at someone like Ray Phoenix, who's also going to make his debut here soon with WWE, Could be at WrestleMania. That tag team, I'm not saying the tag team division is better in WWE, but my God, AEW is making that shit worse as far as tag team wrestling. I mean, holy shit, bro. And then you got free agents out there, which I don't know when their 90-day non-compete clause is up, but you got the likes of Akib and Razor, AOP. You also got the likes of Gallows and Anderson. I hope Tony Khan does sign those guys to the tag team division because, Christ, bro, they need them. Because the way it's looking right now on paper, even with the MJF segment last night with MVP, the way it's looking right now is you got 3 guys in the Hurt Syndicate if MJF ends up joining the Hurt Syndicate. You got MJF, you got Benjamin, and you got Lashley. In my honest opinion, it looks like there's some unfinished business here between MJF and Adam Page. Page is all by himself for now. Is this something where they're going to have the Young Bucks come in to save Page against MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, and then ultimately what we get is some more matches between MJF and Adam Page, which I'm all for. But is this a way to bring in the Young Bucks and have them challenge the Hurt Syndicate and bring them back as baby faces to challenge the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW tag team titles? And that's how we bring the Young Bucks back to television. Because you had to look at the narrative here, man. I mean, obviously, and I mentioned this, I think it was 2 weeks ago. You look at All In. They are definitely planning a matchup between Okada and Omega. Is this going to be something where we're not going to get any kind of story on what happened to the Elite with Okada, Perry, and the Young Bucks, and they're all going to kind of go their separate ways without any kind of rebuttal on why they split up? You know what I mean? Because when's the last time we've seen Jack Perry? We haven't seen Jack Perry on television for quite some time. We've seen Okada. We haven't seen Jack Perry, and the Young Bucks have been off TV, I believe, since late October, I believe, sometime in November. So, could this be something, a way for AEW and Tony Khan to bring in the Young Bucks and have them back up Adam Page when Page is going up against MJF as well as the Hurt Syndicate as well? And this is a way to bring in the Young Bucks to challenge for the AEW Tag Team Championships again as baby faces. My thing is with the Bucks, are they missed? Yeah. To be honest with you, and I mentioned this for the past couple weeks, and I'm going to keep saying this until the end of time. Unfortunately, with AEW, because they can't build younger talents can't just take off for 2 months and be gone off scene. Because unfortunately, it hurts this company, bro. Because they don't build younger talent. With the Bucks being off TV for months, and then you got Darby Allin climbing Mount Everest, it's ultimately hurting this company. It really is. And the thing with Darby, Darby leaving to go climb Mount Everest, he's leaving at a time that couldn't be any worse than what it is right now. Because Darby was already in a storyline with the Death Riders, and Darby was supposed to be the guy to beat Jon Moxley. Hell, in my honest opinion, he was supposed to be the guy that beats Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream, and he becomes the hometown hero because Wrestle Dream last year was in Washington. Darby Allin is from Washington State as well as Bryan Danielson. Danielson could have put over Darby Allin, and Darby Allin could have been the guy that carries this company on his back. Now, with Darby being away climbing Mount Everest, now we have Swerve Strickland, which I have all the praise in the world for Swerve. I think Swerve's underrated. I think Swerve's great. And Swerve is AEW. Swerve needs to walk out Dynasty as AEW World Champion. I'm sorry. And if I can argue that to the end of the moon, bro. He needs to walk into Philly at Dynasty and walk out as AEW World Champion. Because this Jon Moxley Death Rider shit needs to come to an end. It's so fucking bad for this company. I can't even... It's ridiculous, bro. This shit with the Death Rider shit, it's just killing AEW so bad. Honestly, I can't even tell you how bad this shit is with the Death Riders. It's fucking bad. Week in and week out, we're getting the same shit from Jon Moxley. We haven't even seen the fucking title on TV since Wrestle Dream last year. Seriously. Meanwhile, Moxley has beaten Bryan Danielson for that belt, and that fucking title has been in a goddamn briefcase all this time. We haven't even seen the fucking title. Swerve needs to walk into Dynasty and walk out as AEW champion. I'm sorry. Because at this point, even if somehow Jon Moxley does beat Swerve, bro, at Dynasty, we're going to drag this shit out until July at All In? And then you had to ask yourself after that, who is going to be the person that challenges Jon Moxley at All In for the AEW World title? There's only 3 names that pop in my head. MJF, Adam Page, or Darby Allin. But we're gonna take this until fucking July. at All In. Why? I mean, to me, I think it's bullshit, man. I think Jon Moxley, there was a thing, and this might be a hot take, bro. I didn't really want to look into it too much because I'm not big on the whole conspiracy theory, situation. But there was some people that I've even talked to that said, hey, bro, this might not be far-fetched. And what I read was the fact that you look at people like Cope, and you look at someone like Jon Moxley, former WWE talent, and there was this thing that was posted not too long ago stating that is Jon Moxley or Adam Copeland even self-sabotaging this company to help this company fold and help WWE by sabotaging this company. I can't really speak for that as far as Cope is concerned, but for Jon Moxley as of late, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Jon Moxley's in the business for himself, and unfortunately that business fucking stinks. The Death Rider shit sucks. And like I said before when I started, this episode today, I'm not going to sit here week in and week out and complain about AEW. We all know how bad this shit is. I'm giving you guys examples on why I think this shit is bad. That's just where we're at right now. And I don't know what the fuck happened with AEW. I really don't. I don't know if it's creative. I don't know if it's Tony Khan. I don't know if it's the fact that he is so clueless on what the fuck is going on, bro, that he just is so naive. It's like, it is what it is. Like, why did we get Kyle Fletcher last night against Brody King last night? What was the point of that? And not taking anything away from Fletcher or Brody King, but when that match started, Brody King looks like he is more over than Kyle Fletcher, and for some reason, for the past couple of weeks, Brody King's been taking the L. Why? Why? Why is he taking the L? That wouldn't have affected Kyle Fletcher at all. If anything, Kyle Fletcher should be in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, to be honest with you. This wouldn't have affected Brody King or Kyle Fletcher at all if he would have lost this goddamn match. Brody King was over for this match last night. So there's another loophole, and then there's more loopholes on top of that. Mark Davis versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Why? Why? Is this going to, pound her out to Collision? What is the purpose of booking this fucking match? Why? And then we get Mark Briscoe versus Takeshita, which I'm not taking anything for neither one of these guys. They're both great talents, just like Brody King and Kyle Fletcher. But why, bro? What is the purpose of booking this goddamn match? And Takeshita, I mean, I can't say enough about Takeshita. You want to look at someone who's a prototypical wrestler? I look at someone like Takeshita. I do. I really do. Takeshita can be the future of this company. If they do it correctly and actually put some more build around Takeshita. Yeah, Takeshita is the future. I haven't seen that guy have a bad match yet. I still praise the matchup that he had with Will Ospreay. It was a 5-star match to me. I mean, then again, Will Ospreay can have a match in the middle of the ring with a loaf of goddamn bread and it'd still be a 5-star match. The guy's incredible. But I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Like, what are we fucking doing here? And that's ultimately the issue. And I said this even with Mercedes. And everybody has come out from the woodworks, bro, and said the same shit. We are sick and tired of Mercedes Moné with that TBS title. Now, credit, we didn't see her last night. Thank God. But Jesus Christ, bro. I know what the agenda is. They want to have Moné beat Jade Cargill's record for that TBS title, which is fucking ridiculous. The match with her and Athena needs to happen. It might happen at Dynasty. I don't know. But the match needs to happen. Or we get the match at All In and Athena goes over and beats Mercedes Moné in her hometown of Texas for All In. It needs to happen. But man, you want to talk about, she came in, oh yeah, I want to revolutionize the women's division over in AEW. Bullshit. Mercedes Moné, and I've said this now to a couple people, Mercedes Moné is in business for herself. And I'll tell you 2 reasons why. One, she came into AEW for the money. I'm going to be abundantly honest with y'all. The money. And I'll tell you why. Because when Mercedes Moné left, when all that shit happened, when she was tag teaming up with Naomi, and they were WWE Tag Team Champions, and obviously they had their displeasures with the company, and John Laurinaitis and all that other shit, and they walked. Then you see, Moné show up in Japan, and obviously, Naomi or Trinity wrestled over for TNA for a short stint. But obviously they were pissed off with what was going on in WWE at the time. Now, we saw Naomi return after her stint in TNA, and she's done a really good job. I'm happy that she's turned heel. And it looks like she has a matchup with Jade Cargill possibly at this year's WrestleMania. Great. Then when it became time for Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks to go back to WWE, she wanted the same money that a Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch were getting, which was millions of dollars. And WWE, even Triple H at that time, wasn't going to give her the money. Don't blame them. I don't. And it's nothing taken away from her talent. It's the amount of drama and bullshit that came with that situation. You know what I mean? Like, WWE also lost money on Sasha Banks walking out the fucking door. So she wasn't getting the money from WWE at that time. So she went over to AEW where Tony Khan was going to back up a Brinks truck to her driveway and pay her whatever the hell she wanted. So this is what Moné, I think, is doing. She's trying to do whatever she can to get wins under her belt, multi-women champion, everything else, all the praise in the world for Moné. And then when her contract comes up, she's going to be in talks with WWE, and she wants WWE to either match the money she's making with Tony Khan, or if not more. She's in business for herself, bro. She has not put over a single woman in AEW since she's been with AEW, and that's a fact. She don't give a shit about that locker room or that roster. She's in business for herself. Because in her mind, the main goal is for her to get back to WWE and make the money that she had asked for the last time. So she wants to make herself look good, put herself over, be multi-women champion through multiple different promotions, and give herself all the praise that she possibly can, because when her time comes up in AEW and her contract's up, she wants WWE to be calling her ass up and saying, hey, we're going to offer you this, that, and the third. That's what she wants. If WWE would have gave Moné the money the first time they had contract talks about bringing her back, and if WWE would have gave her the money, we would have never seen Sasha Banks even step a toe in AEW's door. That's why she's in AEW, bro. It's because of the money. And she's doing whatever she can right now to put herself over, so when the time comes and her contract's up, she can once again talk to WWE or Triple H himself to talk about figures as far as money's concerned about bringing her back into the fold with WWE. That's what she's doing. She's not putting over younger talent, bro. She gives a rat's ass about that goddamn roster. That's the truth of it. It might be a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, but that's the fucking truth of it. I can tell you that right now. And you can tell on TV, bro. She doesn't give a shit about that roster. She really doesn't. And there's some women there that do. You look at someone like Toni Storm and what she did for Mariah May. She made Mariah May a fucking star in AEW, and her contract's coming up this summer. Now, do I think she's going to re-sign with AEW? Yeah, Tony Khan will be a dumbass if he does not back up a Brinks truck in her driveway and give that woman whatever the hell she wants. Because I can tell you right now, some of the best women's matches we've seen in AEW has been with Mariah May. Especially that storyline she just got finished with Toni Storm. Absolutely. That Hollywood ending matchup, We Got a Revolution, was absolutely fantastic. And that was the helps for not only Mariah May, but Toni Storm. Toni Storm had a vision with Mariah May, and she wanted to make Mariah May a star, and she did. Mariah May is a household name for AEW. And she is a force to be reckoned with for years to come in AEW if she stays with the company. Yeah. That's what I mean, bro, with talent putting over talent, other talent over. Toni Storm had a vision. She created a rival with Mariah May, and it worked flawlessly. Moné's not willing to do that. You know, we saw Moné with Camille, and that lasted, maybe 2-3 weeks? Seemingly, that's what it seemed like. And we have not seen Camille on television since then. And I wonder why. Because it's just kind of ironic how she was also attached to Mercedes Moné, and I believe Moné has full creative control over her character in AEW. Maybe she didn't want to work with Camille. Maybe they had a falling out. It's just too ironic. Because we got no story, really, on why we haven't seen Camille on AEW television. It's kind of ironic. You know, this company, bro, and I've said this now for a while, this company is going to fail. If they keep going the route they're going to fucking fail. For multiple reasons. And I've said this, man, so many times, this AEW product that we're getting now, and that we've gotten for the past couple of years, I would say solidly 2 years, reminds me a lot of what WCW was doing in the year of 99 and 2000. And if you guys were, watched WCW back then, we saw how bad those Nitros were, how bad those Thunders were. And up to 2000, 2001, the company was sold and was bought out by the competitor, Vince. Vince bought them out. And all those talents were either gone over to WWE or left by the wayside or went to TNA, like Sting. And Sting, made him pretty much a new career for himself over in TNA. He was a household name. But that's what's going to happen here. And it's going to take people not going to these damn shows, not buying the pay-per-views, not filling out these arenas, for them to actually get the fucking memo to realize that this company's in the goddamn toilet. I've seen it before, bro. I've seen it with WCW. And I hated it. I could not stand it. You watch these guys, you grow up watching, all these wrestlers like Flair and Sting and Arn and Lex, for years, man, growing up. I was a huge WCW fan. I made that relatively known throughout this podcast. I was, not saying I wasn't a big WWE fan either, no, but I was a huge WCW fan. It was great to see Randy debut. I'm a huge Randy Savage fan. And for, WCW to give him a chance once again to come into the ring and actually be, to wrestle and not just on commentary, it was great. You've seen Randy, Hogan, Sting, Flair, and they had some really good matches back in the day. I still, to this day, would say as far as WCW is concerned, their best years from 95 to 98, maybe early 99. They were some great years, man. And they made memorable moments. NWO is forever, pretty much marked down in the history books for professional wrestling. It was a great stable, one of the greatest stables of all time. And we're not getting that with AEW. And I'm not trying to say, AEW needs to be WCW. No, I'm not. But I know Tony Khan's a huge fan of WCW, absolutely. And the way it's looking now, as far as Dynamite's concerned, has a lot of resemblance to what WCW was doing in 99 and 2000 with their Nitro episodes. It was just absolutely fucking awful. And that's what we're getting now. And you look at the situation with the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega. I remember when Kenny Omega officially came back into AEW, bro, and he looked fucking miserable. He looked like he didn't want to be there. It looked like it was a big fucking waste of time for him. But then you look at a match that he had up, I think it was a week prior to him coming over to AEW and actually wrestle. He wrestled a match up at Wrestle Kingdom against Gabe Kidd, and he was ecstatic, man. He was happier than shit. So were the Young Bucks. And we still have not seen the Young Bucks in AEW television now since, I think, October or November. And for me, honestly, if I was the Young Bucks, if I was Matt and Nick Jackson, and knowing that I started this goddamn company, and Tony Khan is killing the vision that both these guys have. I mean, it's got to be a slap in the face, bro. It's got to be. I mean, I've said it now multiple times, too. Like, you look at a situation like Cody Rhodes. It's got to be a gut punch to Tony Khan to see Cody Rhodes on television and seeing what he's doing right now in WWE. Or even CM Punk, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I think when they brought CM Punk into AEW, that was Tony Khan's ace in the hole. CM Punk was supposed to be the guy that was going to take AEW to new heights and possibly take down WWE. And let's be honest. I mean, if Vince was still running WWE even now, who knows where WWE would be right now? I don't know. But Vince left and Triple H took over, and a lot of, wrestlers gravitated towards Hunter because he knows what the hell he's doing. I knew that he knew what the hell he was doing when he created NXT Black and Gold. And it was one of the best things I've ever seen in professional wrestling in a very long time. And I loved NXT Black and Gold. It was great, man. The talent that walked through those doors in Orlando at the Performance Center, man, was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. We'll never get that again. And so Hunter knew what the hell he was doing then. And now that he's on the main roster, running the show, I mean, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Other wrestlers are seeing that shit. And even people in AEW, man. You don't think that certain talents in AEW right now are just fed up with, the Tony Khan bullshit? I mean, there was news broke yesterday that Saraya, a.k.a. Paige, did not renew her contract with AEW, and now she's going to be a free agent. She's no longer with AEW anymore. Will she go back to WWE? Probably. I don't know if she'll wrestle. I mean, my thing with Saraya, the best way I put Saraya back in the mix as far as WWE is concerned, is I would have her as an agent or a trainer and be a part of the new NXT right now. Because I'm telling you right now, bro, NXT's female roster on NXT right now is probably the best women's roster on the planet right now with the amount of names they have on that roster for the women. I would bring in someone like Saraya to be a coach, man, to be on NXT. I mean, you look at Gail Kim. She's a former TNA talent. She was also, doing a lot of business for TNA in the backstage area and production. And she was also just let go from TNA. I'd bring in someone like Gail Kim as well. She's obviously a predominantly known in professional wrestling. She's done a lot of things for the women in women wrestling. Yeah. or they go over to AEW. But I don't know if Tony Khan is going to be, interested in bringing in someone like Gail Kim to help out the women's roster on AEW. But, I mean, would it be a great addition? Yeah. They need to do something, bro. I don't, at this point, I don't know what the hell it's going to be. And I don't know when AEW is going to get that shot in the arm that they need and a reset, but it needs to fucking happen. I'm sorry, bro. I mean, at this point, there's no other fucking excuse on why this company is still going down the way it's going down. It's horrible. And to be honest with you, at this point, it's almost not enjoyable anymore. When it pertains to AEW, this shit's fucking bad. It is. Massive loopholes, illogical booking. We got now for the past 2 straight weeks, we got Tony Storm and Megan Bayne in the main event of Dynamite. Swerve and Moxley could have closed the show last night with that segment. Why not? And by the way, that was the best part of the goddamn night last night for Dynamite was Swerve and Moxley. Swerve is, like I said, man, Swerve is underrated. Underrated in the ring, underrated on the microphone. This guy legitimately has passion and commitment to AEW. And Swerve, like I said, needs to walk out Dynasty in Philly, AEW World Champion. This Death Rider John Moxley shit needs to end. I'm keeping it in a stack with y'all, man. It needs to go. It's killing the fucking company. And John Moxley ain't doing AEW no favors with this bullshit right now. It's not there, bro. It's not. And the funny thing is, and even Swerve said the same thing last night. At one part of time, John Moxley was the savior of AEW. And Tony Khan had a lot of faith in John Moxley with all that CM Punk bullshit and yada, 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 making John Moxley interim champion. I remember all that. And John Moxley was the guy. He was the guy that made everybody grounded in AEW. It was him, it was Danielson, it was Jericho. But man, how the waves have shifted, bro. Jericho needs to retire. This learning tree shit is so fucking bad. Like I said, MVP pretty much dog walked both Brian Keith and Big Bill last night in that promo. It was fucking ridiculous. And Jericho, what? Oh, you want to go up against Bandito, title versus match for Ring of Honor. Newsflash to a lot of people, Ring of Honor is fucking dead. And I'm sick and tired of seeing this Ring of Honor bullshit on Dynamite, bro. And here's the other thing, too. Even to watch Ring of Honor, you had to watch Ring of Honor behind a paywall. So you had to spend money, I think it's like $6 a month, to watch Ring of Honor's product, which the product fucking sucks. And Jericho is their world champion. Oh, yeah, Ring of Honor shopping around for a TV deal. Why? I'd rather have Shockwave that was being rumored around to be going on Fox and have Ring of Honor have a TV deal. That Ring of Honor is dead. That company has been shit since Tony Khan had bought it. It's not the same company. Ring of Honor at one time was one of the best wrestling companies on the planet, and technically pretty much independent because they weren't on cable television. Or they were on local television, once in a blue moon. I think they were mainly independent, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but again, I digress. But still, Ring of Honor back then was absolutely different than what it is now. Abundantly different. It's night and day. Now Ring of Honor is just dog shit, man. It's I don't get it. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a mass versus title match against Bandito, and not taking anything away from Bandito. But Jericho is running out of fucking options when it pertains to him wrestling in AEW. That's the bottom line of it. And it's just fucking bad. And the crazy thing is, when Jericho came into AEW, he was one of the best things that happened to AEW. The Inner Circle, and him having Santana Ortiz, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara. The Inner Circle was great. Absolutely great. The JAS, it was great. The Jericho Appreciation Society, it was great as well. The storylines he had with MJF, Orange Cassidy, great. Inner Circle and what they did, fantastic. But Christ, man, you want to talk about someone going on a downward spiral, it would be Jericho. Jericho needs to retire. I don't give a shit if he retires and he's an agent or dealing with talent or he's on commentary, but Christ, bro, it needs to come to an end, man. Am I happy that we're not seeing Jeff Jarrett on television? Absolutely, because I'll tell you why. That whole retirement shit was a joke. No one cares, bro. Nobody cares. But I put Jericho and Jarrett right there. I'm tired of seeing Jericho with this learning tree bullshit, man. It's stale, bro. The well has run dry. It's done. And no one gives a shit about Ring of Honor. You know, the one thing I will say about Ring of Honor, and I've been saying now for the past couple years, is Athena needs to get the hell away from Ring of Honor, and she should be on AEW Dynamite, which I don't know why. She is currently the AEW Ring of Honor Women's Champion. She's held that belt now for 800 some odd days, I believe. Time's ticking. She needs to go over to AEW. It needs to happen. She's severely underrated. She's a great talent. And right now, AEW Dynamite desperately needs someone like Athena on that women's roster for AEW. Absolutely. You know, you look at the main event last night, you look at someone like Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, you know, I don't know what the hell happened with Thunder Rosa. I really don't. And, you know, AEW seemingly, I feel like they just don't give a shit about Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, once her contract's up, she's gone. I don't know if she's going to go over to WWE or wrestle somewhere else or, you know, go into MMA. I don't know. But Thunder Rosa, once her contract's up, bro, she's gone. There's no, I mean, they don't know what to do with Thunder Rosa at this point. I think a lot of that also stems from the issue that Thunder Rosa had with Britt Baker and vice versa. Because Thunder Rosa has been booked the same since then. And we all see where Baker's at right now. She's home. Because of a conflict of interest that she had between herself and Tony Khan. So Tony Khan sent her ass home. You want to know why? Because Britt Baker has an ego like you would not believe. But there's also other names that are missing. Where is Rio? Where is Shida? Where is Nyla Rose? Where are these names? We finally got the return of Jamie Hayter. She's going to, return now to Collision this Saturday night. Where are these other women in the roster? Where are they? Where's Serena Deeb? Mina Shirakawa, she's supposedly on her way over to AEW. Great. But we're missing some talent. Absolutely. Where are they? Sky Blue, still out with injury. Julia Hart. You have a roster, bro. Use them. Use them. Get some investment around the women and get us, invested in these women's matches, man. Get us invested in the AEW women's match. It's not hard. It's really not that hard. But AEW has a tendency to not really give a rat's ass how the fans think and really, honestly, don't give a shit about storylines because clearly there's massive loopholes within this company that make no sense at all. Make some sense of it, bro. That's all we're asking. We're not asking to make a mountain out of a molehill. Give us some kind of intrigue, some kind of interest. Something. I'll say this too. I think they're self-sabotaging themselves, bro, with this company. And I've said it before. Tony Khan was going to do everything he can up to the point where he was going to sign a new contract, new TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. Once he got his money, bro, he took his foot off the gas, put on cruise control, and he's coasting, man. He don't give a rat's ass. He don't give a shit. He's making his money. And yeah, maybe at that time, AEW was a viable product at that time. Right now, I don't know. I really don't know. But honestly, for what it's worth, like I mentioned earlier, it seems like Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't give a shit about the hate that AEW is getting. They think everything is fine. Everything is grand over there in AEW. Again, delusional. Absolutely delusional, bro. You can't tell me that this shit's working. You can't. With what story? What build? What build? What storyline? To get us invested in these matches and these products. But you still want us fans that have been here for the past 5 years forking out $50 a pop for these pay-per-views with no storyline, no build, no excitement, no intrigue for these matches. How long do you think that shit's going to last? I mean, Christ, bro, the funny thing is that they announced a partnership with Prime Video to have Prime Video show their pay-per-views. What happened to HBO Max? What happened to that shit? Remember that? Everybody and their grandmother was waiting for, what's going on with the Max deal and the pay-per-views and all that shit. We still haven't got shit when it pertains to the pay-per-views on HBO Max. Yeah, Dynamite and Collision is simulcasted on Max, TBS, and TNT. Great. We still have yet got a single pay-per-view on Max. And supposedly, these pay-per-views that were on Max were supposed to be at a discounted rate. Well, where the hell's that? Where's that? No, we're going to put the pay-per-views also not on just Triller, but we're also going to put them on Prime Video. Like, what? Finish one deal and then we go to another. No, we're going to put some stuff on Max, but you know what? We're going to put all other pay-per-views on Prime Video. Come on, bro. Come on. I mean, it's bullshit, man. Literally. The business model of this company is bullshit. It makes no sense. It does. It doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the logic of this goddamn company. I just don't. I really don't. And it's not just me venting my frustrations week in and week out. I see a lot of other people in the wrestling community that have said the same shit I've been saying. And it's rinse and repeat. You know, we want to know why? Because these other podcasters out here are doing the same shit, bro. We are watching the show, critiquing the show because we are fans of the show. When the shit's great, it's great. But when the shit's bad, there are some out there that say, oh, yeah, it's bad, but you know what? It's great. No, dude, it sucks. Stop trying to kiss ass and try to be a part of, you know, sitting at the table with Tony Khan. I'm not in this for that. I'm not. I told you guys that. I don't give a rat's ass about that. What I'm here for is to give you guys my truth, my opinion, and how I feel about these shows. I'm not here trying to rub elbows with Tony Khan and trying to get in Tony Khan's good graces. No. Same thing with Triple H and WWE. I'm not in it to rub shoulders with Hunter. No. If the shit's bad, the shit's bad. And I gave my grievances about Monday Night Raw on Tuesday when I talked about Jey Uso and Gunther. Yeah, Jey has busted his ass up to this point to get the title opportunity, but the storyline is lacking. And if we're building a storyline on the fact that he had a botch with a tope and a botch slip-off or a slip in the ring, which allowed Gunther to pretty much seal an attack on Jey, that ain't no goddamn story, bro. That's not. The story needs to be Gunther beating the ever-living piss out of Jimmy Uso on Raw this week, and we get a whole different side of Jey because Gunther now made this shit personal. That's what needs to happen. Same thing with John Cena and Cody Rhodes. We haven't heard any kind of back-and-forth banter between Rhodes and Cena, and from what I was told, this coming Monday Night Raw, this will be the last televised episode that we'll see John Cena on for Monday Night Raw until we get to WrestleMania. We need to see something else. Because if this is all we're getting from John, that's a fucking problem. That's a big problem. So we're just going to have Cody Rhodes for the next couple of weeks leading up to WrestleMania cutting promos with no signs of John, no signs of The Rock, nothing. You want to talk about lackadaisical build and one of the biggest heel turns in company's history in a very long time. This is all we got? Come on, bro. It's not just AEW, man. It's WWE too. I know people are like, oh, yeah, it's tribalism. Oh, you're just only hating on AEW. No, you're hating on AEW because it's easy. No, they make it easy. Hell, a blindfolded Stevie Wonder can see what the fuck is going on in AEW right now. It's so fucking bad. I'm not just doing this to, he's going to ride the coattails of everybody else. No, bro, I watch this shit every fucking week. Every week. And there's times, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, there's times that I take away from my own goddamn family to watch this because this is what I do. Period end. But when the shit sucks, it sucks. And this Dynamite episode last night fucking sucked. That's the truth of the matter. I'm a fan. I've been a fan for a very long time, bro. I've been watching wrestling since I was 7 or 8 years old, man. And I was there in the trenches too, just like everybody else. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But Christ, man, can we get something halfway decent for this goddamn show? Something. Am I intrigued with the MJF and Hurt Syndicate shit? Yeah, I am. Do I see where it's going? Yeah. Do I like where it's going? I'm not big on it. But I can see it going that route, like I mentioned earlier. I feel like MJF has unfinished business with Adam Page. Right now, if MJF does join the Hurt Syndicate, there's 3 people in that stable. There's Lashley, Benjamin, and MJF. Page is in an island all by himself. So who's going to back up Page? Here you are. Here's the Young Bucks. They join Adam Page again and take on the Hurt Syndicate. You know what I mean? I don't know. Again, you can say, oh, well, what happened with, the last time we saw the Young Bucks, they attacked their buddy. The Death Riders attacked their buddy backstage. A logical booking happens in AEW. Loopholes out the wazoo. Look at Kenny Omega when he finally came back to AEW after what Okada and the Elite did him by beating the shit out of him backstage before he left to deal with surgery with diverticulitis. Okada comes back into the fold of AEW after the Continental Classic and just walks up to Okada and hands the guy the fucking the Continental Classic title. Omega should have walked in that ring and smacked the piss out of Okada. No. He just gracefully handed him the title and walked out the goddamn ring. These people beat the shit out of you in the parking lot, bro. Put you on a stretcher. Jack Perry's pouring guts over a birthday cake for your birthday. And you're going to sit here and gracefully hand this guy this fucking title? He should have walked in there as a man and beat the shit out of Okada. That's what I mean by logic gaps and loopholes. What the fuck are we doing? He should have beat the bricks off Okada in the middle of that ring. No. We're going to savor it. We're going to wait. Let it marinate. And we're going to wait all the way until July at All In. Because that match will happen. At All In, you better believe it's going to happen at All In. Tony Khan has been waiting, salivating for AEW to put on an Omega and Okada match for the first time. Even though these guys have wrestled now 3 or 4 times already, over in Japan. But Tony Khan has been salivating, waiting to show his AEW fan base Omega and Okada at AEW's All In this year. And that match will happen. That match will be booked this year. It's already set in stone, bro, with Omega holding the international title and Okada currently holding the Continental Championship. There's already been internal talks within AEW that they want to merge both the international title as well as the Continental title into one title. Come on, bro. Okada versus Omega, title versus title. This has got Hogan and Ultimate Warrior written all over it. That's exactly what this is. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. Shit needs to change. And whether you guys like it or not, I'm going to be honest, bro. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to rub shoulders with Tony Khan or Triple H. I'm giving you my opinion and my take on it. If you don't like it, then it is what it is, bro. But if you do, thank you for sticking around. But I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, the show was great last night. No, when the show was obviously fucking bad last night. I'm not saying it was completely terrible. Like I said, I'm intrigued with the MJF shit. Intrigued with Swerve. Those were the 2 best things of the night. There's 2 things that actually made sense last night. Everything else, the match-wise, didn't make any sense last night. You know what I mean? Like, logic gaps out the wazoo. It's ultimately crippling this company. And this company, because of those logic gaps, it's crippling this company. And they're just too delusional to realize that shit needs to change, bro. They don't care. Like I told you guys, once Tony Khan got that new TV rights deal, he took his foot off the gas pedal, bro, put that shit in cruise control, and he's coasting right now, man. Coasting. Because at one time, AEW was a viable product. Now, I don't know. I don't know. You're with the smaller venues, and you're still having a hard time selling out these smaller venues, bro. You're going to basically music halls and theaters for these AEW Dynamite episodes, and you're barely even selling out. It's a struggle. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Obviously, clearly something needs to change. And hopefully they can figure it out soon, because if not, I'm telling you guys, man, it's going to take one big name to leave AEW, someone like an MJF, and things are going to be drastically different for AEW in the foreseeable future if things do not change for this company. But with that being said, this is my review for AEW's Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe,